Hello, everyone. In the last lecture, I have seen that you have correctly answered the questions that have been asked in the lecture. So I got it that you have understood the concept of what is research, objectives of research, and different types of research. Now, today, I will look into the research process steps. What is exactly the research process means to you and the steps involved in the research process. So research process from the term itself, what will happen that it will consist of series of actions, or you can say some steps necessary to conduct your research, right? And before that, I would like to show you one diagram. Just a minute. Yeah, this one. Can you see it? Yes. Research process in flowchart. I have said that research process consists of several steps. Now, what are those steps? First, you should have your research problem. आप किस लिए रिसर्च करना चाहते हो, आप कौन सा ऐसा प्रॉब्लम है जिसको आप कंसीडर करना चाहोगे, राइट? So you need to define research problem. So here also one question may be asked, that what do you understand by the term research problem? In my first or second lecture itself, I discussed about that what does it mean by research problem, right? So if you look at this figure, you will see that the very first step is the define research problem. आप किस particular specific area में research करने जा रहे हो, और कौन सा ऐसा problem है that you want to consider, that is exactly the research problem, right? You have to have some idea about that, where you want to do the research and why you want to do the research. Means there should be some gap between the current stage and what exactly required. Okay, after you have that, that is defining or definition of what your particular problem, then what would happen? You need to do something like review the literature. Actually, this is a kind of what I can say that conflict, that after literature review, you need to come to the research problem, or before the literature review itself, you need to have some idea about the research problem. So let me clear you some fact with this, that basically whenever you go for doing some research, then you already have some idea about that particular fact or that particular thing that on which you are going to do the research, right? Now, when you perform or when you carry out the literature review, then what would happen? You will have idea about the already existent literature or already existent research in on that particular topic. Also, you'll be able to find out the gap between them. Between them means you'll see if you read the research paper, then in that research paper itself, in the very first abstract portion, you'll have an idea about that what the authors try to do throughout his research, right? कौन सा ऐसा प्रॉब्लम है जो उन्होंने चूज किया है, राइट? एंड किस वे से, and which methodology, or in case of science, computer science, which algorithm he has applied, or he is proposing some new algorithm. And in your own domains also, कोई अप्रोच होगा, कोई स्ट्रेटेजी होगा जो वो फॉलो कर रहा है particularly वो प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने के, राइट? एंड ऑल्सो वन थिंग दैट he may not be able to achieve 100% optimality, or you can say 100% efficient solution towards that problem. Yes. So वो जो 100% नहीं हो रहा है, there should be some gap. As a researcher, you have to find out that gap. और वो आप कब करोगे? During the literature review process. So that's why I always say to my scholars and everyone that literature review is a very critical stage of any research process. You have to do it very, very sincerely. At least uh, last 5 years of research work you have to go through to have idea on that particular topic. ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चंस भी पूछते हैं हमें कि कितने रिसर्च पेपर पढ़ना सही है लिटरेचर रिव्यू में. देन आई रिकमेंड दैट अराउंड 20 research paper if they are covering almost last 5 years work in that particular area. Got it? तो डिफाइन रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम के बाद हमने देखा रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर, रिव्यू कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड थ्योरीज, review previous research findings. So review of literature consists of two sub steps. Review concepts and theories. आपको उस कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में भी पढ़ना है, थ्योरीज के बारे में भी आइडिया आपको लेना है, राइट? एंड रिव्यू प्रीवियस फाइंडिंग. दैट इज द मेन थिंग दैट यू हैव टू रीड द रिसर्च पेपर्स. Then when you go through it, what happens? You come to the next stage, that formulation of hypothesis. Hypothesis is a kind of assumption, you can say, that you will make going through those previous research work. Different types of hypotheses we have, right? I think, have I covered that? I have not covered yet, then do comment me. I'll discuss about hypothesis in a specific lecture devoted to that particular hypothesis or different types of hypothesis. ठीक है, एक लेक्चर में सिर्फ हाइपोथेसिस के ऊपर आप लोगों को मतलब प्रेजेंट करूंगा कि क्या है हाइपोथेसिस और हाइपोथेसिस का क्या टाइप है. बट overall, you know from my last lecture itself that hypothesis is a kind of assumption, right? तो ये hypothesis आप formulate करोगे कब? After the review of literature stage. Then you come to the next stage, that is design research, including some sample design. Design research means, as actually we are talking about the methodology. Methodology means that initial stage means the first stage. After that first stage, what will be the second stage? Now, this methodology we are talking about your specific research methodology. वो रिसर्च करने के लिए आप एक्चुअली क्या क्या अप्रोच, मतलब क्या क्या स्टेजेस आपके अप्रोच में इंक्लूड कर रहे हो. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट, एंड दैट इज एग्जैक्टली योर रिसर्च डिजाइन. ठीक है. Then when you have the methodology you have with you, now see, actually this diagram is the research process in the flowchart, but that methodology itself will be a flowchart. Okay, flowchart ये बताते हैं, flowchart actually tell you that what are the subsequent stages or what are the steps involved in that particular process. So next stage is the collect data, then analyze the data. Collect data is very important because without data we cannot do anything, right? If it is specifically, if it is an empirical type of research, that we cannot do anything without data. So data collections, I think that in every field, not just our science or engineering or arts or social science, business, what means health science, whatever your discipline is, everywhere collection of data plays a major role during the research process. अरे data नहीं होगा तो आप किसके ऊपर research करोगे, right? So when you have the data, then you need to go to the analyze of data stage. So analyze the data means that you have considered one hypothesis, right? Now you have to test that hypothesis. Okay, a hypothesis that you have considered whether it is true or false. Then interpret and report. दिखाई दे रहा है आप लोगों को यहाँ पे एफ एफ भी ये सब लिखा हुआ है where F single F, this F stands for feedback, and FF means feed forward. Feed forward means serves as the visible function of providing criteria for evaluations. Okay. So यहाँ पे F means F जब तक मिल रहा है यहाँ पे single F है. You can see this here. F only a single F is there means feedback. If the feedback is not good, then we'll again repeat the stage. And here it is FF, design research to analyze data. Why? Because there are different stages involved, right? We need to carry out all the stages. So that's why this is feed forward. Means one output of one stage will become the input of other stage. Okay. Then lastly, we have interpret and the report. And that is also connected to define research problem as a feed forward. Okay. So I hope each stage is clear to you. Now, as we have today around 2 hours of time. So within these 2 hours itself, try to complete this first assignment. That what are the stages involved in a research process? ये डायग्राम जो आपको दिखाई दे रहा है, टेक ए स्क्रीनशॉट ऑफ दिस एंड ये डायग्राम आप लोग बना लोगे. You will draw this diagram and you will try to explain each of the stages in your own words. I said in your own words, in your own examples. आप suppose health science से हो, if you are from health science, then give an example particular to your field. And if you are suppose from social science, then give me an example from your own field. Okay, the research process clear here? Okay, very good. Now, after the research process, our next topic of the syllabus is that what is the criteria of good research? See, research means, say everyone is doing research nowadays. Now, it's the time to find out the quality of research being conducted, right? Quality of the research means whether it is meeting that particular standard or not. Let me give you an example that if research or PhD has been made mandatory for teaching in higher education, then some people or some faculties who don't have exactly that much of interest on research, but still means bound to do the PhD. Why? Because now PhD been mandatory, right? But if he does not really have interest on research, can we expect a good research out of his work? Because research is a kind of thing only those people can do good research if they have really depth interest on that particular area. Yeah. Okay. So that's my own point of view. And so research may be either good, bad, worst, or very good. Now, we expect a scientific research to satisfy some criteria. And these criteria are like the purpose of the research should be clearly defined, common concepts should be used, research procedure used should be described in sufficient detail to permit another research to repeat the research for further advancement, keeping the continuity of what has already been attained. The procedural design of the research should be carefully planned to yield results that are as objective as possible. The researcher should report with complete frankness, flaws. Just a minute. Okay. Sorry for the interruption because of the call. Uh, okay. Complete frankness, flaws in procedural design, and estimate their effects upon the findings. The analysis of data should be sufficiently adequate to reveal its significance, and the method of analysis used should be appropriate, and the validity and reliability of the data should be checked carefully. Conclusion should be confined to those justified by the data of the research and limited to those for which the data provide an adequate basis. Greater confidence in research is warranted if the researcher is experienced, has a good reputation in research, and is a person of integrity. So सिंपल वर्ड्स में हम ये बोल सकते हैं, आपका रिसर्च तभी गुड रिसर्च कहलाएगा इफ यू गिव सम डिटेल्स और यू कैन से सम सफिशिएंट डिटेल्स सो दैट वो डिटेल्स यूज करके कोई और रिसर्चर भी उस एरिया में काम कर सकते हैं. एंड व्हाई? बिकॉज आपके काम के ऊपर भी कुछ और एडवांसमेंट ला पाए वो, राइट? Because research में criticism is very important. Then only we can expect some good research. Okay. और next thing, आप जो भी data collection कर रहे हो, efficiently कर रहे हो, flawlessly कर रहे हो, and next thing is that you are means performing the validity and what I can say, the validity testing properly, because testing is very, very important. And next thing, conclusion should be precise, and that should also be limited to that data only for which you have conducted your research work. Okay. And of course, if you are a good researcher, the good researcher means you already have some experience, then only we can expect a good research out of your work. Good. Now, if we try to summarize these points that I have just explained, then these points are like, means good research should be systematic, good research is logical, good research is empirical, and good research is replicable. It's a word says systematic, logical, empirical, and replicable. Systematics means you are following some proper sequences. Logical means what? Whatever the rules you have applied, there should be some base that why you are applying those things, those phases, right? Some algorithm you have applied, why you are applying that. Then good research is empirical means that should be experimental basis, means that should be experimentally proved. जो भी आप कर रहे हो एक्सपेरिमेंट के बेस पे कर रहे हो. Then good research is replicable, means आपके रिसर्च को रेप्लिकेट कर सकते हैं और कोई रिसर्चर्स. ओके. मीन्स मैंने अभी बोला ना कि आपके रिसर्च में एक सिस्टमेटिक इंफॉर्मेशन होना चाहिए, सफिशिएंट इंफॉर्मेशन होना चाहिए जो कोई और रिसर्चर इस एरिया में यूज करके और एडवांसमेंट कर पाए. ठीक है. सो I'm again summarizing: good research is systematic, good research is logical, good research is empirical, and good research is replicable. ये points याद रख लो. And so next question आप लोगों के लिए है कि what do you understand by good research, and what are the stages, or what are the what I can say, characteristics of a good research? What are the characteristics of a good research? ये दो questions आप लोग कर. And today, if you submit these answers before 5 p.m., I can say that you have understood those topics and you have completed the tasks of today's assignments. So if any questions regarding today's topic, you can ask me to a comment, or you can directly call me. If if you want to discuss more on those things. So with this, I'm ending today's lecture. Thank you.